the I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.
Elijah, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Travis.
Absolutely, man. From the band Mojohand.
Yes.
Dude, great band.
Thank you.
I love the Dungarees album, but I am guilty. I have not gone backlist. Like, I haven't looked at the past albums yet. But you got 3 total, right?
3 total right now,
Yeah.
but Dungarees is my favorite so far.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
So I'm happy that's the one you started with, and I'm happy that you like it.
I'm sure the others are good. It's just that one is so good that when I put it on, I wrote an article about it a long time ago for you guys, but it's like a front to back listen, man, which is a rare thing to write.
Yeah, I mean, I loved that article you wrote.
Oh, thanks.
I loved what you had to say about it, and I'm happy you got to hear it because it seems like you're the right person to hear it.
I was looking at your bio about it. So you recorded that in a place called Business District?
Yeah, Business District Recording. It's up in Johnson City.
Hold that just a little closer.
It's up in Johnson City,
go.
New York. And it's a pretty scrappy studio. Our buddy Hunter Davidson runs it, and he produced the album, and he produces all the stuff that comes out of that studio. And it's kind of like in this attic of this old firehouse, and he's been collecting all this analog recording equipment for his whole life. And we recorded it to tape for the most part, and he really is good at capturing just a super cool organic vibe.
Yeah.
Which sounds annoying sometimes when people say it, but he really, we've recorded in a lot of different studios, and I could definitely say working with him is a whole different thing.
Well, I was looking at the pictures. You know, it's a sparse social media account to begin with,
yeah.
which maybe a studio shouldn't post everything they have, just
yeah.
in case. But that room seemed very interesting. That it is just essentially a blank room.
Yeah.
Got the equipment in there.
Yep.
And it always feels like it's those studios like that break that mold, that
Yeah.
thinking you need all these things. It's like, no. You need an energy. You need the equipment that you enjoy working with. It doesn't even have to be the best equipment.
Yeah.
And just kind of a feeling in that room. But how did y'all decide to record there? Is this somebody you've known for a while?
Basically, a friend of ours told us to check out this band, Old Lady, who are a great band. And I listened to their album, and I actually sent it to our bassist because I thought it was right up his alley. And I was like, check this out. You're going to love this. He was like, this is what our album should sound like. So I looked up who they record with, and turns out that the guy who plays keys in Old Lady is Hunter. He owns
nice.
Business District, and so he records them and plays in the band.
Wow.
And so we had done our first 2 albums with someone else, this guy, Sean Walsh, who has a studio called Walden Studios, which is also great. And we did 2 albums with him, and we're trying to look for somewhere new to do the next couple.
Yeah.
And we had these 2 Christmas songs that we wanted to record. And so we were like, let's try them at Business District. And we went in and did the 2 Christmas songs, and it went super well, and we did it super quickly. And we already had a couple songs written for the next album. And so we recorded the first 4 songs from Dungarees just right in that same session when we were only planning on doing 2 Christmas songs. And
Wow.
it started very organically too. And it just felt so good to be working with Hunter in that room, and it just kicked off the whole album. And we actually just finished recording another album with Hunter.
Oh, nice.
So
When's that coming?
sometime this year.
Sometime 2026? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, when you said y'all were originally listening to the recordings of the other band,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's the sound. That's so nebulous. Like, what is that?
Sure,
What does
yeah.
that sound for you?
I mean,
Because I have my version of what I hear on your album, but
Sure.
I'm curious as what you
Yeah.
classify it as.
I mean, there's certain things that are just so frustrating about this. I can already tell this is going to turn into a huge tangent.
Go
But
ahead.
But
We got
I guess
time.
that's what a podcast is about, right?
We got time.
So, I don't know. Certain things with recording are very frustrating. Even down to something as simple as it's hard to get the headphone mix right if you're recording with headphones in a room and make it feel like you're really playing with the rest of the band. I mean, some producers want everyone to track completely separately, which is something we've never done with this band, but we've done all in other projects and stuff. But something that Hunter is really big on is at least to start, we're all going to play in the room together. No one's going to be wearing headphones, and we can all just hear each other playing, and we're in a room that's not much bigger than this room, just playing music, which as a band that plays live as much as we do, we can play together live in a room and it sounds like a band. And so to be able to just not have to wear the headphones, not have to worry about too much technology getting in the way, like that really helps. But I didn't even talk about the sound, and you're asking about the sound.
No, it's okay.
I think what it really, like, a lot of our favorite music is music that was recorded before a lot of the newer recording technology, and before, you know, producers got into having everything be so isolated. And so a big thing that I think you can hear on our album Dungarees is that the instruments are bleeding together. All the guitar mic is picking up cymbals, and the cymbal mic is picking up bass, whatever, you know. And while there's some isolation and you don't want it kind of just going off the walls and being completely uncontrolled, just the fact that it's a band playing in a room and the mics are picking up all the little nuances of everything, that definitely adds to the sound a lot. And even if we were recording more in a digital way, I think it would make a big difference. But on top of that, Hunter also recorded us to an old 4-track tape machine, which really just, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but like that analog recording equipment just has a certain sound. It's the reason why they ever developed digital technologies, because they wanted to get away from that sound, and it does sound different. And I love lots of albums that are recorded digitally, but there's really no way to replicate for real that warm analog sound that we got with Hunter.
I think I was so happy to hear you. I was wondering if you were going to tell me that's kind of how y'all recorded, because I saw the size of the room, and I was thinking, man, that could go either way. You know, this could be like, oh, well, because of the size constraints, we had to do everything separate.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that's part of the vibe of that album for sure.
Yeah.
Is that I have a background in audio engineering as well, but there is something to be said about the air in the room.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds for people who maybe don't record things. But, you know, if you go watch a great show, right? And if you're a band that loves playing live shows, if you started playing shows before you started recording, all you're doing is chasing that live show feeling for the record. Yeah. And it's really hard to do. Yeah. It's really hard to do. But getting you all together in that group, like you said, that little bit of bleed, it's like, well, when you're at a concert, you don't hear things mixed perfectly isolated. And that's you don't want to, you know?
No, yeah.
And, you know, you can't tell, oh, the guitar's definitely coming from the left side of the stage from my left ear only. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It needs to have that blend. I'm really happy to hear y'all recorded that way. Was it not having headphones? So I'm assuming at this point you're not going with a click or anything? No click track?
Yeah, no click. It was something that, like, I mean, with this whole process, recording this album and also the follow-up that we just finished, like, it was like a thing that we just always heard that certain bands did, and, you know, no click, recording to tape. And we just didn't know if we could do it. And it was even just cool to just try it and just see that, shit, we can do it. And, like, we can record without a click and it doesn't sound terrible, like, you know.
Well, like, on this tour, you're performing without a click, right?
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
Which is a whole nother, I still don't know how I feel about people performing with in-ear monitors, with clicks and tracks. I get if you have a huge production, but at the end of the day, it's like even no matter how impressive your production is, and no matter how much it's warranted, and you could argue your point, and I go, I totally get it.
Sure.
But in my gut, I feel like it's lame.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like,
you know, I get its purpose, but I still think
I could see. I mean, there's certain types of music, I guess, where it makes more sense, and we're kind of thinking about, because like what you're saying about, because I still feel like we've had a hard time capturing our actual live feeling in the studio.
You almost never do, right?
Yeah,
it's like you're always chasing it.
And we've definitely gotten closer with this album and the one that we just finished with Dungarees and the one that's going to come out after, because we're just playing together in a room and not to a click and all those things. But still, I feel like, because of some of the limitations with Hunter Studio, like, we can't really play quite as loud as we might on stage, and and all that. But also, I like that there's still some separation between the album and live. Like all my favorite artists, their albums sound different than they do live, and it's kind of that kind of struggle between like what you want when you first write a song, what you want it to sound like, and then what it ends up sounding like in the studio, and then like how to do it live. Like I try to look at it as less of like a struggle and limitations, and more as just like that's part of the creativity of it, that's part of the process and part of the fun of it.
Yeah. I used to be real snobby. If I went to a concert, I wanted to hear it exactly like the album. They didn't play it like they're supposed to, that kind of stuff.
There's definitely music where I feel the same way.
I've grown though to appreciate, I think the more time you spend in a studio, the more time you're in a band, I think you grow to appreciate it. It's like that studio time was a moment in time. It is what it is. It was, especially when you think of money and time constraints, it's like this is what that represented for that moment. And the show can be its own thing and it can evolve and be different. I think when it changed is when I started listening to more live albums of people that were veterans who've been doing this 30, 40 years, and you saw how a crisp professional, somebody, like there's a local Texas guy, Robert Earl Keen. You ever heard of? Okay, I don't know how famous he is outside of it, but he's got a live album that he put out, and some of the versions are just so different. But now the live version is my new favorite. It's like, well, of course you've played that for 25 years now, and you and your buddies on stage have tweaked it to be more fun for yourselves, even, and you feel it, on that record. It's like you never would have nailed that guitar solo in the studio because you didn't have that energy we're talking about that's just so hard to get on a record. Which maybe that's the only way to really record now is to be a band for 30 years and put out an incredible live album.
I mean, I definitely I love live albums. I remember like when I was first getting into music as a kid, like it probably came from just how sterilized a lot of music compared to how it sounds sounds now. But I just remember feeling like live albums sounded so weird to me and like just so different. And but I don't know if it's just as my music taste has changed or if it has to do with the fact that a lot of my life revolves around playing music live. I've definitely completely flipped, and I love live albums, and I love like listening to how the show flows and how they could stretch out versions of songs, whether it's through like improvisation or vamping on something and having someone talk to the crowd or whatever. Like I just love, and also just as a music fan first, I love seeing live shows. And so being able to have albums where you can feel closer to that live experience I think it's really important.
Yeah, I feel like you're letting me in a little bit.
Yeah.
Where I play guitar.
Yeah.
You play guitar, you sing. It's like little things to me somehow become important at a show.
Yeah.
I want to see how you're holding a pick. I want to see how high your guitar is.
Oh yeah.
What does your pedal board look like? I don't care what your pedals are, but just your whole version of this is what makes me feel comfortable on stage. Yeah. It's like weird things about how close or far away do you like the mic when you're singing, things like that just it like lets me in a little bit of your personality, and all of a sudden the show kind of locks me in more. That's why I don't freak out about AI music, all that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, all of the albums that real bands are recording, if you're a good band, you're trying to replicate a live show anyway,
for sure,
and the live show is what everybody really wants more than anything. So I think AI will come in, it'll cause a problem for a little while, and then people will just go, but I like people playing music, and I'm going to go watch a show. It's all good.
Yeah, it's like there's the people who have a problem with something like AI music have already had problems with other things in music. It's the dividing line has already been there, I think. Well,
you guys went back to an analog studio.
Yeah.
You could do this all from your living room with digital stuff, and you could track it however you want to, but it's it would be cheaper, it'd be easier. But no, it's like we could go to a studio and do it the old way and get this feel to the album.
Yeah.
So I don't worry about it. I mean, I think it's going to get weird.
I think it's going to get very weird.
But I like weird, I want to see the weirdness,
Plus, there's no stopping it now. It's like,
what are you going to do?
We're in the fucking future. Like, let's just see what happens and hope that and do what we can to make sure that
Yeah.
humans can survive.
I mean, the last big music change would have been when Lars from Metallica tried to stop Napster.
Yeah.
And look how that ended up.
Yeah.
And if a guy as powerful and wealthy as him in music couldn't stop it.
Right, yeah.
If who was it? Eddie Vedder and them with Pearl Jam, if they couldn't stop Ticketmaster and all those things. I mean, things just change and you got to figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, as a band coming up at I guess a weird time in music, we're friends with a lot of other musicians and bands, and the things people complain about and talk about in these circles, which are very valid, but I try my best to just kind of stay focused and just we're in the world we're in and just try and figure out how to make it work with the resources we have now, rather than, wishing that we could have been a touring band in the 70s or 80s or 90s or 60s or whatever, Yeah,
and it's such a double edge. Well, what are some of the common complaints that you hear?
There's I know at least in New York City, there's definitely a big thing going on where venues have room fees. There's not very many, like a lot of the gigs we'll play on the road. I'd say it's about 50-50. Like we'll play 50% of our shows are like bar gigs where we're playing 3 sets and we're playing to people who don't know who we are, don't want to even really probably hear music.
Yeah.
They're just there to get drunk, and playing those types of gigs has been very important in our development as a band because it's hard to win those people over.
Yeah.
But the other 50% of the gigs that we play are ticketed shows that we'll usually play with a couple other bands on the bill, local bands. And in New York, most of the gigs, there's a couple cool bar gigs to play in New York, but where we're based in New York, there's mostly just ticketed shows. And because the rent is so high in New York, these venues have a hard time staying open and taking a chance on bands hopefully selling enough tickets to pay their staff and all this stuff. And so there's like a room fee.
What size venues are these? Like 300 people?
Like 300 or even smaller.
Okay, gotcha.
And so like it'll be, there's like an overhead of $300 to just put on a show. And by the time you get to that $300, if you're charging $10 a ticket, it's like, how many more people can we even get to the show or even fit in the room? That's a big complaint. And obviously, Spotify makes it hard to make money off of recorded music. That's another big complaint. I don't know. I feel like, and I'm guilty.
Valid complaints, but also
100%.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
The venue has to stay open.
Yeah.
Or you have nowhere to
play. Yeah.
But also you wish there was a better.
Yeah.
With those venues, you don't have to say names, obviously, but
Sure.
when you're in that type of situation, do you feel like they're at least holding up their end to make it the best show they can? Are they helping you with promotion?
I think for the most part. I mean, like, I feel like, honestly...
Because I'm assuming these are places that sell liquor.
Sure, yeah.
They want people there to buy alcohol. They want your show to be a success,
For
right?
sure.
So let's throw up some posters, do some digital marketing. Do they do those things on their end? Or?
For the most part. I mean, I think...
Here in Dallas, I feel like are good venues for bands in your level, where you're professional, you're touring, but you're not a household name. I feel like they struggle to promote that.
Yeah.
And then they all kind of throw up their hands like, well, where's the crowd?
Yeah.
It's like, well, guys, you got to meet them halfway.
I feel like it's really just that... I mean, my inclination, when I think about it for more than 10 seconds, I end up at a place where it's like, we're all in this new landscape for the music business, and most people, even the ones who have figured out a way to carve out a living, have no idea what's going on, whether they're on the band side or the venue side.
Yeah.
And, it's just a struggle to kind of figure out how to do it in this day and age on either side. And
I definitely am saying that from a place of a non-venue owner who has no idea about the things I don't even know I don't know.
No, exactly.
About what it takes to hire people, get your permits, licensing, to run the stuff. All I know that's got to be hard.
It's got to be crazy. I don't know.
And to them, $300, isn't even that much of a safety net, I'm sure.
Sure.
It's just to show that you're committed.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It's crazy. I mean, I feel like I should think about this stuff more.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it's like you have a certain amount of time in the day, And if the artistic side of this is what is most important to me, I have to make sure to protect a certain amount of time in my day to be focusing on just that. And so it's all about what you do with the rest of the time. And I feel like I should focus more on learning about, how to promote stuff and
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or should
who
you?
knows?
Well, I mean, how do you feel? You don't have to say it yourself,
sure.
but I feel like you've made a great album.
Thank
one
you.
that could stand the test of time and people could enjoy for years to come, right?
Yeah.
But it's never enough, right?
Yeah.
It's never enough. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, here locally, especially the bands that I can count, who have had great music, and they just, for whatever reason, it doesn't go anywhere. But you guys at least have made it to the next tier, where you're touring, you're building your fan base, you're doing it.
Yeah, we're trying.
Even though it feels like a grind, I imagine.
Yeah.
How long have y'all been touring? A couple of years, probably, right?
We seriously started touring, I guess, in 2022. Well, 2022 was our first tour where we were gone for more than a week.
Yeah, where you're not like our worldwide New York tour.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so 2.5, almost 3 years now, right?
Yeah.
So now that you've done that, you've made an album where you're like, we know this is good. We're touring, we're putting in the work. What have you found to be successful, at least for your shows, versus what you're thinking, wow, that was a total waste of time?
I mean,
what works for you? Because I think that's everyone's question. They feel like there are levels in between that are missing, and it's the Wild West, and nobody knows how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that with our band, that we're just kind of very lucky to have. We're very lucky to have found each other, in that, I've known our bassist since I was 2 years old. We grew up together.
Wow.
I've known our keyboardist since we were in high school, and I met the drummer when we were in college. And we've just known each other for a very long time, and we're very focused, and we're all a little bit insane and just willing to anything any little steps forward we've made have literally just been because we're like, we'd rather be on the road sleeping in a van making no money than the alternative. And we're lucky to have found each other, and there's definitely been a couple good things. We very serendipitously found a booking agent who has helped keep us on the road for as much as we want to. I think it's obviously it's hard for different people starting bands at different times in their life, and and coordinating responsibilities and stuff. And I think really the biggest part of it is luck, not only in just being able to find an audience for it, but really just finding the people who your kind of priorities line up with, and things like that.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I'm just having flashbacks of different bands where you're asking, why aren't you guys just doing it?
Yeah.
Why don't you make a run? And they have valid arguments. Like one of my favorite bands from this area, they're a larger band, and they laid out a pretty good case. They're like, okay, let's say you put us on our dream tour next year, opening for a band that we pair so well with that we're going to build a fan base.
Yeah.
And you front us, $300,000 to go on this tour. And a normal person thinks, wow, $300,000, that's incredible. But then you got to go, even in your situation, you got 4 people, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, we're talking about less than $100,000 for the year for 4 people. Per person, and then that's before all the expenses of living for that year and traveling and eating. And so if at the end of that tour, if you're now not a success with a massive fan base and you can now sell out rooms, you're back to square one of being essentially a broke band going like, okay, but the only difference is you quit your jobs.
Yeah.
And so now you don't even have the safety net of the job to pay your rent. And some of these bands have, like spouses, children, real responsibilities. And it's just gut-wrenching that it takes so much to just stay out on the road still.
It's definitely not a good business. It's not financially. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, how have y'all managed to keep it afloat for a couple of years? Are you able to live off the band? Or are you all still working when you're home?
So basically, the big things was that. So at first, well, we all it's actually funny where I'm talking to you at a very transitional time because until
You're like, we're actually quitting the band to get jobs.
the opposite. So for the longest time, I was door dashing when I was home, and it was great. Our bassist was door dashing, and our keyboardist was door dashing. Our drummer, he worked at like a brewery in Manhattan, and it was just a pretty good setup where, especially with DoorDash, like we were able to just do it when we were home. And in New York, they pay pretty good, and I'm kind of it was good to just be able to drive around and listen to music while delivering.
Yeah.
Like it's
Well, it's perfect. You do it right when you want to. So if you got shows
Exactly.
coming up, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yep. But right after, so we took a couple months off the road for like November, December, January. And we got back in November, and the drummer's brewery he worked at closed. And then my DoorDash account got deactivated. So we're
Just because you were inactive, or
not even, I mean,
eating too much of the food, or like, what? Tell me the dirt.
who
No.
knows? What I think, so they said that it's because of delivering an order late, but how many times have you ordered a DoorDash and it comes late? And especially in New York City where I'm driving in a car,
Yeah.
and most of the DoorDashers are on scooters. And so if there's traffic, I'm in a car.
Yeah.
I can't get around the traffic. I'm sitting. Anyone in a scooter can just zoom through and get to where they're going. And something that's been happening in New York is that they have been raising the hourly wage for DoorDashers, which has been great. But I think it causes a lot of strain on the company. And so they're probably cutting back on people who take longer to deliver
We're
orders.
paying more. We got to cut back a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So until recently, we actually weren't, for the most part, we're not taking money from the band. We were just all working as much as we could on our off months, making as much money, putting it away, and then going away on tour and trying to live as cheaply as possible. This tour, we're starting to split the money, and yeah, it's like we're splitting very small amounts of money, just trying to make it work.
Do you feel a new stress on your shows and your tour because that money now becomes more important?
I mean,
Do you think about it more?
I think about it more. We're definitely a little bit more trying to get more tips, sell more merch. But I'm trying to look at it as a challenge, and hopefully, instead of it being some sort of catastrophe, it's a chance to kind of level up and see what we could do.
I feel for y'all now in this day and age, because when the most successful band I was ever in, we were in the glory days of CDs.
Sure.
And people bought CDs. And we just had little bits of luck where we were selling lots of them.
Yep.
And when you're on tour, it's like, we sold 100 CDs at $10. $1,000 goes so far now.
Sure.
And this was when gas was cheaper,
Yeah.
everything was cheaper.
Yeah.
But even then, we were getting by just fine. But you were connecting dots of, okay, we funded this first album ourselves, and we want to fund the next one. So we can't blow through this money. We need to set some aside. And for artists and musicians, budgeting is not at the forefront. So
I don't understand it at
so,
all.
you're talking to your bandmates about this, and they're just like, "So you're holding on to our money?" And it's like, no, hold on.
I think like the fact that we've been working together for a long time. I mean, the band started. The first iteration of the band started in our first rehearsal was at the end of 2016.
Wow.
So it's like
So you're coming up on 10 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we've known each other for a long time, and for the longest time the policy really was that all the money just went back into the band.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of used to that being the case, and so it's more of a conversation about what money go. It's like the opposite of probably how most bands, because we were just lucky to start pretty young and be able to not, we started in high school, so we were able to kind of figure out the funding of let's say we want to go record a song, how do we fund that? How do we, and so
that speaks a lot though to how well y'all mesh together, and then how collectively, at least, how seriously y'all take what you're doing, because you say it like, yeah, no, we all agreed about the money and we haven't had many fights or whatever over it. It's like, but over 10 years, people's opinions change.
Yeah.
They come in and out of relationships.
For
they
sure.
might have partners who are telling them, they're like, why don't you take a little more money? This,
Yeah.
all the things that have broken up countless bands
Sure.
that you've passed.
Sure. And there's definitely been members of our band that have come and gone, but
Sure.
it's been the same guys since 2019. So
That's great. It sucks to hear it, I'm sure, because like when you're on the inside where you're at, you're working so hard.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for almost 10 years now. But what's wild to think about, I have a lot of comics on this show too, stand-up comedians. There's a lot of parallels with their careers and your careers. And what sucks is to think that you've been doing it for 10 years to now just be that new band.
For sure.
That you're almost at the beginning now, which is a wild thought. But I only say that to hope that over the next couple of years, you guys kind of keep that in your head of, right here is where people get discouraged and think, 10 years, it didn't happen. It's like, but I think bands like the Black Keys, I think they were 10 years in when they were nominated for like Best New Band or something.
It's so crazy. But we've been thinking about that a lot recently and honestly, periodically over the past couple years, just like, because, the first time we like recorded in high school, like, I remember feeling so good about what we recorded. And then a couple years later, you look back on it and you're like, I don't know if I like that. And even as we've gone further, like, I definitely like Dungarees better than our first two albums.
Which you should, right? You should like every album a little more.
And I think we've gotten to the point, like, there's music that we've recorded that we've taken off the internet because we're like, I don't know about that. And I hope one day, if there's people who care to hear it, we can put it back out and say, like, this is like our earliest stuff. But
those will be your goodies. Like, you release some 7-inch vinyls for your loyal fans.
Exactly.
That'll be the people who really love it.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
But I think we've gotten to a point where, like, maybe our first album doesn't fully represent where we're at now, but I'm pleased enough with it as a first introduction to who we are and
but just think about your personality shift over the last almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Of course the album, it should feel like a stranger.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. And there is something kind of as discouraging as it could be that, like you were saying, it takes 10 years to get to step one.
Yeah.
There's also something cool about it, which is like just knowing you've put in so much hard work into something and even if you don't see, even just starting to see it pay off on a level of like, wow, I think we made something that I really like and that I think, just something that we really like and we think is cool.
Well, and there's got to be a comfort now knowing that the stage, performance. Surely you remember the first several times y'all performed as a band, the nerves, the energy, we're going to screw up, or you did screw up. And now there's got to be a comfort, of thinking we've done all this work so that now if we take the stage, it doesn't feel like a hurdle anymore. It feels like this is what we do.
Honestly, even like something as simple as like loading into a venue. Mm-hmm. Like I say this a lot. Like I just remember like our first couple shows that like, all right, we got to go get the gear out of the practice room and load it, bring it up the stairs, load it into the car, and then drive over to the venue, and then take all the stuff out, load it onto the stage, sound check. Like that all used to feel like,
do I have enough picks? Do I have enough strings? What happens if this happens?
And now it's like that we've got a system for everything, and we've gotten used to it, and we could set up in 15 minutes if we have to.
Do you get to play with a lot of local openers?
So
you see what you used to be.
For sure.
How the nerves and the, a little bit of chaos happening. And it's got to make you feel like you've grown substantially.
For sure. I mean, I think the two areas where I feel the most growth are the both sides of it, like the songwriting and just like how we could play together in the studio and arrange a song so that it makes sense as a song. And then the other side is just like the whole live thing. Like, because you start a band, like going to see bands and it's so fun to just watch a band on stage, just like a really tight band and I just remember first starting it feeling like, how does a band even sound that tight? Like, what do they do? Like, you can't even understand it.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that is why we've played live so much these past couple of years, is because at some point we were like, I think the only way we're going to really get good at playing live is to just do it a whole lot. And even if we practice in the practice room, which we rehearse still every single week we're home. We rehearse every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Even like we're going to get back from this tour on a Monday, the next day we're going to be rehearsing. And it sounds crazy, but it's just what we do. But still, even with that, playing live has been the thing which has helped the most overall. Not only like how to play live, but like it even informs the songwriting. Like like you hear a lot of, I hear a lot of music which is great and sounds great as recorded music that you could listen to in your room in your headphones, and I'm sure we'll make lots of music like that over time, but right now we're really focused on like what makes a song translate live. And especially like the kind of gigs we're playing, which is literally every kind of gig, like it's like everything from playing in the corner of a bar with just the vocals coming through the PA and that to playing on a big stage opening for a bigger artist. It's like, how do I write something that could translate in as many different situations as possible? And I know some people, some of my friends even, I'll talk to them about that, and they kind of view that as like a bummer. Like why should you have to like morph your artistic taste to fit? And it's like, I don't really view it like that. It's like, I've got things I want to say, or I've got, I want to be able to perform songs live and express myself. And I just, because we've played live so much, I can kind of tailor ideas into the best version of themselves to just get what I'm trying to get across.
Well, I think even in the modern era, bands that can handle themselves live, playing lots of shows, who bands who even started out as maybe a cover band, to pay bills. They're doing cover bands and then they're doing this stuff, but just playing. It's like anything. If you want to be a great basketball player, you've got to practice all the time. And it's not enough to just practice. You've got to go play games.
Yeah.
You've got to perform.
Yeah.
If you're only just preparing,
that
that doesn't work. And it would always get under my skin, some of the bands that I knew, where they'd go, we don't want to sound over rehearsed.
Yeah.
It's like, well, first of all, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
You need
think so.
You need to sound good,
Yeah.
And if playing the song over and over makes it stale and lame to you, that's a different battle you have to come to grips with about what kind of songs am I writing? Do I love them?
Sure.
If you love that song, you should be able to play it for 50 years and it not bother you, right?
Yeah.
And it'll come in and out of favor, but you never think like, oh, fuck this song,
Yeah.
But the bands, I'm trying to think of some of the ones who just gigged. The one that comes to mind is Alabama Shakes.
Sure.
They just gigged a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And I think they were just a bar band for a while.
Yeah.
And then when they did start writing their own music, how good was that first album when it came? And
it's like unbeatable.
And when it came out, people weren't doing a lot of that at the moment. There was a lot of throwback kind of bluesy rock stuff, but they had this sound, not like a jam band, but you could tell they just played. They just played together. They liked playing. They knew how to write a song that a crowd would enjoy.
Yep.
Kind of speaking to what you were saying about you're doing all those bar mics.
Yeah.
Well, that had to have, or bar shows, excuse me. But those bar shows, that had to have influenced Dungarees significantly, thinking like, what sounds, what rhythms, 100%. What melodies get these people looking at me and away from the football game on the TV.
Yep. I mean, it's like the big kind of like metamorphosis of it was like, so over COVID, I wrote a lot, and it was probably the period of my life that I wrote the most up until that point. And like, we had all these songs and they were feeling cohesive. And so that's when we started working on our first album, which that's still online, called Songbook. And that was completely, it was during COVID. So we were in my parents' basement and we were rehearsing every day by ourselves and just going through these songs and just trying to make them make sense between the four of us. And I think we really did level up because we have a couple singles from before that up on streaming. And I think the big difference between those is like, that's when I think I kind of like reached the first like acceptable level of my songwriting where I was like singing about things that I was thinking about or feeling. And I think as a band, we were really focusing on how to just make a song that makes sense. Like, I know I keep saying that, but like sometimes you just hear a song that sounds more amateur and it just doesn't sound like a song that maybe you'd hear on the radio or that you'd hear like a band that you like sing. And you can't really, it's hard to really say what it is.
I know what you mean. Every now and then you hear a new band that's starting out and you think things like, intro's a little long.
Yeah,
you know,
stuff like that.
Where it's like, it's not bad.
No.
It's not, and it's not even like, I'm not judging your creative choice. You're just thinking,
even your playing.
Yeah,
like your playing could be great.
It just feels like it's dragging a little.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. Or
Yeah.
that's a weird spot to put a bridge.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
and like, so I think that's where we got on that album. And then we went and recorded that. And really, like, the whole process was done before we started touring. And so we did that album, and then the world kind of opened back up, and we started gigging more heavily.
So the first album was done really without any playing live.
I mean, we had played live from 2017 to 2020,
Yeah.
but we hadn't really toured. It was
Yeah.
mostly like in high school, we were playing locally in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And then in early college, we started like trying to fill every weekend with any show we could drive to in a weekend.
But still, those 3 years, you're a baby. You're essentially learning still how you want to be a band.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so we did that first album, and then the second album was somewhere in that time, in between the first and second one coming out, is when, I believe that's when we found our booking agent, and we did our first tour, and I kept writing in a similar way. And then that album came out, and I kind of view the first two albums as like kind of grouped together.
Mm-hmm.
And then really after the second album came out is when we really started touring heavily. And that's when I kind of started looking at, okay, like we play all these different kinds of gigs, and we have these 20 or so original songs, or maybe a little more than that we play live. And like, what are people reacting to, and what am I having fun playing in front of people? Because while a lot of the music I listen to is like just a guy playing an acoustic guitar and singing, and I love that music, and I want to do more of that myself. But really, the thing I have a lot of fun doing is playing loud rock and roll in front of people who are having a good time.
Yeah.
And so it was like, we have these songs which sound a certain way, and like what's translating, you know? And then we play more bar gigs, and like maybe we'd reach a point where we have a couple shows in a row where like they keep telling us to turn down. And we're like, we didn't think we were that loud. Like, what's going on with that? And it's like, well, maybe I can write a couple songs that will translate when we have to play a little quieter. And then we ended up writing some songs like that. And then it was like, well, now our set's kind of like quiet. And I was like, all right, now I got to write some rock songs. And then like I realized, all right, these people are here to have fun and get drunk. And I want to have fun, and I want them to have fun. And that's how we're all going to have fun. So like, how can I write songs that aren't so sad?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not about like I have sad songs. So it's like, now I want to write some songs that are more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with having different albums that sound different and different songs that sound different from each other. And, you know, more upbeat songs, slower songs, quieter songs, louder songs. And I think that all that stuff we really would not have learned having not played hundreds of shows.
Yeah.
And I think that if there was an opportunity to play 100 shows a year, you know, without touring, we probably still would tour because we love it, but we probably would tour maybe a little less. But at this point, like the only way for us to play as much as I feel like a band should play at our stage is to tour a lot. And luckily we love it. And there's other aspects of it which are fulfilling other than even just playing shows. So.
Yeah. But even with the music, I think playing on tour just works a different muscle.
For sure.
Even if you played 100 shows locally in your region, those shows almost feel like home games, and it's just different. For
sure. I mean, people definitely will react to a touring band differently than a band, even if they don't even know you. If they know you're local, they'll react differently. And honestly, as we started touring, people started reacting to us a little differently when we were playing at home, too. Because they're like, oh, you guys are a touring band. Like, that's pretty cool.
Okay. So positive.
Positive. Okay. A lot of superficial shit, but like, still noticeable.
But also when you've been playing for almost a decade, it's nice to get a little of that.
Sure. Anything. I mean, we'll take anything we can get.
It's nice for people to go, wow, good job.
Yeah.
When you are touring, even now, when you got a good album, you're not new to this, you've done this. Do you show up places that aren't at ticketed ones, you at least know, hey, some people bought some tickets to see us. We know we have some fans.
Yeah.
But when you're going to gigs that aren't that way, do you still feel like there's band from New York, like, prove it. Prove you got something I want to listen to? Or are people generally coming in going, I'm excited to hear what this might be?
I mean, it's honestly, I wish it was more standard. Like, we've experienced like every single kind of different scenario. I think that, people have different perceptions of other areas of the country and of people from other areas of the country. And I think the thing that I've found, in relation to that, mostly from touring, is that people are not really that different everywhere. And they might have like a small idea in their head, but ultimately I haven't really found much difference.
Yeah.
The
first time I went out on a tour where we left, it was a similar thing you were talking about. We were in a 3-piece punk rock band.
Fuck yeah.
I loved, at that time, it was all about things, like NoFX, Bad Religion, that style of music. And this was this would have been 2000, probably 4 and 5. So we're post 9/11. George Bush. So there's all these things to be angsty and, I'm going to change the world with my music, right? So, and then we're from small town Texas. We're here in Dallas now, but where I grew up is about 45 minutes to an hour away. Very small town. And
what's it called?
The town that I lived in was called Copeville. I went to a school called Community because the towns surrounding it made up the school. So we had about 5 towns going to this area, and I graduated with 84 people.
Yeah.
So a smaller area, and I remember at that point thinking, same thing. Okay, we've played lots of local shows around the Dallas-Fort Worth area and everywhere on there. And we've even gone up to like Oklahoma a little bit. But there was just this feeling of, I need to know if strangers... real strangers think this is good or not.
Yeah.
Or are we all just telling ourselves it's great?
Yeah.
And so we booked up this summer tour, and I remember thinking, oh, man, this is it. I'm going to get out of Texas, away from all these people with these ideas that I think are wrong.
Yeah.
And like, these people in these other places are going to be so different, and it's going to be so eye-opening and enlightening. And that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, man, we're all just kind of carbon copies. There's just versions of all of us in every state, every city, and there were there's accents and there's little different traditions here and there, but overall it's a lot of the same people.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more of like an individual basis.
Yeah,
like touring is good for the reasons that you said, but not because you're gonna go to Texas and everyone's gonna be the same but different than where you're from. It's because you're gonna go to Texas and you're gonna meet one guy who's different than anyone you've ever met.
You live in New York, right?
Yeah.
How many people a year come there thinking it's going to change my life?
No,
and it's like, you still got to change your life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably one of, there's probably only 2 or 3 other cities on the planet that get that much of an influx of people who go, once I get there, it'll all happen, only to find out, it's a lot of the same people here, and whatever was holding you back where you're from, you're probably still going to have to work on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
For us here,
Yeah.
it's people going to Austin.
Yeah.
Austin's going to change their life, man, you know. But did y'all just play there a couple nights?
Yes. Last night. Yeah.
Last night, yeah. And so, you know, it's like, it's about the same as other crowds.
Yeah.
You know, there's a Texas accent. They
Yep.
say y'all, you know.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
about it. But it was very eye-opening. I'm glad I saw that when I was younger. And so I wouldn't be, you know, in my 30s thinking about, oh, it's so different. And because just, well, even with New York, it's so polarizing with, you know, your new mayor and everybody and all the opinions of what's going to go on.
Sure.
And so down here, where you don't live there, everybody's forming all their opinions and like these people up there, these crazy. And it's like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
they're all about the same as us.
Yeah.
You know, there's
funny.
some loud minorities of, you know, thought anywhere you go that
Sure.
you hear the most. But it's like at the end of the day, it's still people trying to like eat, pay bills, do all,
Yeah.
you know, they're just people.
Yeah.
And it's like they voted for it.
Yeah.
If they voted for it and
Yeah.
it's their area, what do I care? Let's see
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah. We should
You
all
know?
hope that everyone's mayor just does a good job for them.
Exactly.
and-
It's like, do I think it's going to work flawlessly? I don't know.
Sure.
But do I hope that, you know, a couple of years from now, I'll go, holy shit, they did it.
Yeah.
They did it. Everything's better. That would be incredible, right?
It definitely would be.
You know, and it's like, for better or worse, we're going to see if something worked or not.
Yeah.
And then we'll be better for that too.
Yeah. Process of elimination.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
all the things I wish, it's like, well, can we try for a couple of years? And then if
Sure.
it sucks, we go, all right.
That
we
was
know.
not good.
We
Yeah.
know. Now we can move
Yeah.
to step number 2.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's, I don't know. I probably think that way just because of backgrounds and things like music where you're on your own. You know, it's like you guys have this idea of how you're going to make your career happen.
Yeah.
And now that you're 10 years in, you go, wow, we were way off on some
Yeah.
of these things. You know?
I remember thinking like, it goes back to what we were just saying, but like, I remember it was right before COVID, unfortunately, but it was like, if we could just play so much that we become like undeniably good, then we'll be set. And I thought it would take, I don't know, a year. It's like, all right, that was 2020. Now it's 2026. And I feel like we're just starting to get
Yeah.
to a point where some of our shows, we really hit something and we really take off musically.
wild. I mean,
But it's fun. It's also
accurate,
fun.
but it's,
So,
you know, but if you think about if you were going to be a woodworker,
yeah.
you know, to really be a master it'd be 20 years of your life.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
just, but when you're thinking about an artistic endeavor like this, you got bills to pay. It's hard to put it on that scale of,
Yeah.
you know, it's like I love Sturgill Simpson. Mm-hmm. You know, how many lows did that guy hit before he hit his
Yeah.
high finally?
Yep.
You know, how talented was he while going unnoticed?
Yeah. And also thinking about like, how many lows does anyone at that level have now?
Still
Like,
currently have.
Everyone has ups and downs. And
Yeah, one of his more recent albums, you know, it's like he changed it up and he's talking about, you know, living on an island, getting away and not wanting to be that guy anymore. And it's like this, you know, the stuff he wanted so badly is now the stuff he's like, I really just want to get back away from it. It's just everybody's got that struggle all the time.
yeah.
What do you think are going to be your goals moving forward now? With all the maturity of a tested band at this point.
We're trying to just scrape by
Yeah.
a dignified living,
Yeah.
just playing music and artistic goals, keep making albums. I mean, all my favorite artists, they write albums, they record them, and they play live. And I love doing those things, and I want to keep doing them.
Yeah. I feel deep in my bones that we're coming back soon to a live music revolution
Hope so.
where people just, you know, I feel like we've been in this slump for many reasons. I think a lot of people can't afford to go to shows for just various reasons, right? But I think people are starting to really realize that endless options on Spotify is great at times, but just experiencing live, just going with your friend to check out a new band that you've never heard of is a fun experience, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this newer generation is starting to see how much like my generation, maybe even a little bit of Gen Z, was totally obsessed with all the online content to a fault. And they're thinking, we're going to do less of that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it is a real thing. Like, my generation does not like going out as much as past generations. And I think that they don't drink as much.
Yeah.
Then they, you know, so it is hard to get people out to shows, and
how do you keep a venue alive when liquor sales are down?
Sure,
but you also want to keep tickets cheap.
Yeah, and people realize that when they do go out, they like it. But it's just, I mean, I think a lot of people coming of age during COVID has to do with it, and just it was like we kind of got used to not going out.
Yeah.
But who knows what? It could be a million different things. But I think that, like, ideologically, the younger generation does like live music, does like things in a more organic way, but it's just about how do we bridge the ideology with how many people are going out to a venue to. I mean, like I said, we started touring mostly after COVID, and
it's a wild time to start too.
No, I know. And after every show where we play a ripping set to 4 people, the owner comes up to us and they're like, the band's like, you are the reason that we started this venue, and like if you would have came before COVID, there would have. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I have nothing to compare it to. We had a good time. I do wish there was more people.
Like, that's
here,
awesome to hear that it could have been better.
Yeah, but you know. So I don't want to just sit around and complain about it. So we just fucking go play to 4 people and have a good time and just try and build it one step at a time.
There was a punk band called Authority Zero, and they were from I think Mesa, Arizona. And they were one of those. They made it pretty big. This was back when radio was still relevant, and they had like a radio hit here locally, at least. And I was under the impression this was a massive band. You know, tickets are gonna sell out.
Yeah.
And so I buy tickets to our local venue, Trees, which is still down in Deep Ellum. And me and my wife, we were dating then, and like a friend, it was like this double date to this show. It was gonna be incredible. We got there early because we want to be close, you know.
Yeah.
And we get there, and you know, maybe like 50 tickets were sold, maybe. And there's a bunch of opening bands. Like they clearly tried to stack a few more openers on when the ticket sales were down, and it didn't work. And so we sat through, you know, probably like 6 openers. And they come on stage, and we're thinking, dang, like some of the people had left at that point. They weren't even there for them. So in my mind, we're down to 4 people, but it was probably like 30, you know, 30, 40.
Even then?
But the commitment of that band, they came out on stage. At that time, they were a 4-piece. So drums, guitar, bass, separate lead singer. And high energy punk rock, you know, very like anthem-esque. But one of their opening tracks, it's just like a guitar chord, and the guy comes out and he's like, "Here we go," and it starts just building before, you know, your double time drums kick in and everything. And this dude comes out to 30 people, and he's doing all the cliche, like foot on the monitor, in your face, jumping sky high, doing like air kicks and stuff.
That's me.
But just selling it. And it's like, that to this day was one of the most incredible shows I've ever seen because of the full commitment.
Yep.
And it's hard to emphasize that to a band that comes out on a stage and there's 8 people, and it's like, no. You got an ability to make 8 lifetime fans.
Sure.
And I know that seems like nothing right now, but you were building. And when you come back to town, those 8 are bringing more, okay?
Yeah.
And you could tell too that since there was only 30 of us, 40 of us, whatever, and we were feeling it. We're going nuts.
I mean, you're still talking about it.
Yeah. This is literally, I'm 40. That was 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
love that.
I mean, and I can still remember having like, it was my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, you know, she's in front of me. Our hands are on the stage. You know, you're high five. We don't have to be pressed up against the stage. There's so much room behind us. But we were just thinking, they're giving it their all. I got to be right here.
Yeah.
Right here, you know?
Yeah.
And the amount of shows after that I saw where a band would be bummed that there's only 100 people. You know, there's only 100 here? Oh, sorry, I guess Dallas didn't come out tonight. It's like, and you just wanted to go, fuck you, Authority Zero did it. Like, But, you know, since then I've been to more shows with small crowds too, and it's like when you see that commitment, it's like, all right. Especially now, I mean, back then I didn't have any money. Now, you know, now I have more, you know, I have a little more income to spend on things, so I feel obligated. It's like, okay, we're coming through, man. You sold it. I want a vinyl. I want a shirt. I want, where's the tip jar? Let's do it. Because you just realize it's like, God, it's got to be so hard to get out there for 10 people.
I always think about, I think it was Jason Isbell, I heard him say, don't punish the people who came to the show for the people who didn't.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
And you
be,
still get to play.
Yeah.
You're still up there with your buddies playing music, man.
I mean, it could be hard when there's only a couple people and they're really just you know, there is an element of it which you are feeding off of the people in the room. And so it definitely can be hard to reach that peak when there are less people or they're less enthusiastic or even if they're hostile. But I think it's still, you got to aim for it every night, and you gotta put in you got to hold up your end of the bargain. And
at your venues in New York, do you have the luck of street traffic coming in?
Some of them.
Yeah.
There's one venue we play in New York called Skinny Dennis. And that place has kind of built-in crowd and kind of walk up.
Yeah, so you can start a cold set and bring some people in.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of any ticketed shows in New York, it's like no one is walking in randomly. Like, you know, and the other thing I think that people run into probably in most cities is when you're playing locally, like as a band that's from there, you're playing with your friends' bands and you all have the same friends and they're all musicians. And so if they're not gigging, they have to work.
Yeah.
And so you end up, you know, that's another reason why, like, we play outside of New York more than last year we probably played 5 shows in New York and we played 120 shows last year.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, but we like playing in New York. There's also the other side of it where it's like, all right, you play in New York, your friends come, maybe your family comes. You kind of want it to be a good show. It becomes more stressful.
Yeah. Well, you guys are from New Jersey?
We're from New Jersey, yeah.
But how long have you been in New York now?
So me and the drummer, we met in college, and that was in New York. And then we moved to Brooklyn after college. So we met in 2018. And we've been living in Brooklyn since 2022 or 2023.
Yeah. So you've had the band in 2 different zip codes, essentially. So you've seen
For sure.
What do you think, you know, you're talking about the venues. Obviously down here we think everything up there is so expensive. How does anybody live?
Yeah.
You know, which I'm sure you feel that sometimes.
For sure.
What benefit did you find of moving your band to New York versus why not stay in Jersey where it's maybe a little easier? You have to do less DoorDash and you can work on your music more.
I mean,
what did you love about it other than just I want to live there?
Honestly, there's been less thinking about it than I probably should have done.
Yeah.
But we went to school in New York, kind of built friendships and community in the music scene, and liked living there. Yeah. And we've been able to make it work so far. And so we kind of have just kept it going.
What are the harder aspects of it?
I mean, it's just so expensive. Like, just going into like this tour and like really just kind of looking at our finances from the last year and going forward, it's just like, if we didn't live somewhere that was so expensive, maybe it would be a little easier. But
are you having to lease a rehearsal space as well, or?
Yeah, we have a practice space that it's not too expensive.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of different expenses.
What are the benefits you think you're getting from your band being there? What are you getting where, you know, if you're like, you know what, I'm going to move out to Austin's a bad example. Well, even here in Dallas, I'm going to come to Dallas, but I'm going to lose this.
I think really it's honestly, I think a band can really live anywhere at this point. Especially if you're a touring band and you're willing to tour, it's better like to even live in New York City than maybe upstate New York. Like, because we have friends that live like real far upstate New York, almost in Canada. And in order to get to any major city other than Buffalo, which isn't really a major city, you have to drive for hours. In New York City, like, even if we just want to do a weekend run, we could get to Boston, we could get to Philly, we could get to, you know, there's lots of places. We get to Chicago in 2 days. Like,
that's something we struggle with here. I mean, Dallas is a little different because we're so close to Fort Worth and there's some suburb areas. But really, if you want to stretch out and consider it like a full region, everything's a 2-hour plus drive. Yeah. So we don't. So that would, I guess, the density of that region, you can get a little regional tour going and it's not killing you.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah,
that's good.
That was a big thing that helped early on. We were just doing weekends. It's like we could get to Pittsburgh. We could get to. I mean, it's still a 6-hour drive, but if you do Pittsburgh and maybe another city on the way back or whatever, you know. You get out to Vermont. There's also a lot of colleges around there. And when we were in college playing friends' colleges and shit, it was just a good way to just like a lower commitment level of like, let's see what happens if we go play a couple shows in a row and stuff like that.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you're in another fun town.
Yeah.
What about density of talented artists? You have to be saturated up there, right?
I think you're saturated with talented people and less talented people.
Oh, I was trying to be nice.
But
but what I mean is, when you're newer, not what you're doing now. When you're newer, you're trying to cut your teeth there.
Yeah.
How many stages do you feel like are actually accessible to get shows going? Maybe not the college parties. Let's just say like proper venues that you can play at.
I think really mostly a lot of them are accessible. There are a couple big ones. You know, there's the venues that everyone, you know, it's like, oh, you played this place and this place and this place. And it's more that you kind of feel like you start running out of different places to play and running out of people to play with. I don't know. It's weird because I feel like there's not, like when you hear about music scenes in the past, I'm sure they're glorified and, you know, looking back on it.
The fish was this big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like even just like I feel like the scene, there's not like a one music scene in New York City. There's like a lot of little ones that are more specific. And I honestly don't necessarily feel like we've kind of felt at home in any of them. I don't know if that's because of our music or just we are people that just feel like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more like our personalities. Not that we're like unfriendly or anything, but it's just kind of like a disposition of like feeling like an outsider. I don't know.
I've been in this town forever, and I feel that way. You know, there's the cliques that develop, and they're not bad cliques. They're all nice and friendly.
Yeah.
But I've personally never felt all in on any of them.
Sure.
You know, and I kind of like just kind of bobbing in between.
Yeah.
And I'll dip in here for a moment, dip over there. But I also have never liked those cliques from, well, kind of what you were talking about earlier. Your friends are all in bands. They're all doing so. Every little clique like that slowly becomes really incestuous, where you're all going to each other's shows. You're all telling each other you're amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, are you really getting the best out of yourself, though, when you're just being told you're
hard.
amazing? Whereas if you kind of stay out of that and you feel, for me anyway, I would always want to feel like I had something to prove to each clique because I'm not part of it. And not in a negative way. They were always nice stuff, but just where it's like, okay, you don't know what I've been doing. I want to show you what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And even with this podcast still, there's cliques of people who are just promoting different things, you know.
Yeah.
And there's like local like awards shows that are put on, and it's like the awards go to like friends, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like I've been doing this for a while, and I know for a fact that it is more successful in the sense that I feel like I'm getting a wider variety of guests, and then I know we have an amount of downloads of listeners that is higher than others. That's all I mean by success. Because the whole goal is I want to show people this stuff. And then it's like some of these weird award shows and stuff will come up, and you're not even like nominated. And I'm like, I wonder what it takes to be nominated. It's like, oh, you nominate yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so you start to kind of pull back that curtain. So I think in the beginning, you know, if you're a new band, if you're a new artist, new comic, whatever your thing is, those cliques are so helpful because it's a community that gets you up there and out. But then I think once you get your feet settled and you kind of know what you're doing, you're almost better off distancing from that clique a little more, you know, to kind of figure out who you are and what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I think it's really helpful at the start. It's good to have community, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's weird.
Yeah. We've definitely struggled with balancing like the community thing and also just touring so much. It's like, we're not home as all the time. So it's like hard to kind of dig your feet in sometimes, but
it also feels like that those cringy, like, you know, you need a network. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Do I? Can I just talk to this person? You know? So I'll hear those bands doing that. Oh, you got to come to the show. It's great for networking. Yeah. It's like, I'll pass.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel the same way. It could be hard.
Yeah.
It could be hard.
Yeah. We have children now, and you know they're going to school, and you have to think about even that, like because you want them to be involved with other kids, and that means I've got to be friendly with parents. You know? And it's like, I didn't think I'd have to think about this here. I thought you just went to school and we just signed up for T-ball or whatever.
Yeah, and
it's all good. Like they're all nice and friendly, but you're just like, God, I'm doing a lot of greeting and handshaking and name memorizing, and it's all for the sake of the kids.
Yeah.
And we're all putting on the fake smiles. But now my son's been in kindergarten he's about to close out his first year. And now we've run into the ones that we can tell are past that, where you you throw something out where you wonder if they're going to take offense to the statement or think it's weird.
Sure.
And then they reciprocate and you're like, all right, okay.
Cool.
So you're one of the ones where you'll be a little more real when we're talking. That's
Sure.
awesome. But it always felt like that in the music scene too.
Yeah.
We're just
I
like,
don't know.
God, are you cool or not? What's going on here?
I don't know. I feel like for better or worse, probably worse, I have a negative feeling about all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just be chill and just,
I think if you put off asshole vibes,
Yeah.
that would be a problem.
Yeah.
But you seem like a nice enough guy that you're not like fuck them for because they're XYZ.
Yeah.
It's just more like, no, I don't want to do that.
yeah.
I think it's a good way to live, man.
Yeah.
Just be kind, write your music, play your shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Are you guys on a label?
So we've done the Dungarees came out on a small label in the Bay Area in California called Nudie Records.
Oh, cool.
Who a lot of their artists actually record with Hunter at Business District.
Nice.
So it's kind of a whole that's kind of a scene. It's not a localized scene, but it's bands that have similar sounds to some extent because Hunter produces a bunch of them.
Isn't it crazy how a person like that can, like you said, there's a sound that now you're imprinting on your bands.
I mean, Hunter really does. He's really like a wizard. He does something special.
That's
for
awesome.
sure.
Those are the people that are so important to music scenes that you just never get their comeuppance. You're always, but it's like, God, a good engineer, a good studio, a good producer, someone who you just mesh with. How much of that has sculpted so much good music?
Yeah, or even like a label head or a A&R person who.
Well, it sounds like your booker is one of those people where it's like that has been very helpful for y'all.
I mean, ultimately, just on a level of like, we know we want to tour a lot. I think we tour probably more than any other band he books for. I mean, I think he used to work for a bigger booking agency, and now he's like an independent booker and has his own booking agency. And I think he's just helped us stay on the road, and just pure number of gigs.
When you have a booker, right, and you guys you've got your studio, you've got your booker, you know how to do your songs, and you've done this before. What are you looking for when you bring a label in? What are you hoping will happen?
Well, this label, their big thing was helping press the vinyl.
Okay.
Something that we've never been able to do before, and especially with the sound of Dungarees, we've always wanted to have vinyl, but especially with the sound of Dungarees, like we knew it would sound good on vinyl and kind of fit the whole thing, and just also be another thing that, like you were saying with CDs, like you could sell vinyl on the road and make some gas money.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like they have a base of people who, I think because they're good at kind of curating the sounds of their label and things like that, they have a base of people which might trust checking out a new band on the label.
So is that part of the allure these days of a label, is that you're thrown in with that group of bands, so their fans are hopefully going to give you a chance as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And
I don't think labels are bad.
No,
I
sure.
just even on the label side, it feels very difficult to run a label.
We're all in the same business, and it's an impossible business.
And I don't mean it in a negative
No.
way, but if I were running a label, my first thought too would be like, what am I offering these guys? Like what am I going to give that's beneficial? And I think that's a hard answer for everybody right now.
Yeah.
But I want labels to exist that are good labels. You know?
Yeah. I think Nudie is the record we're on. Nudie Records is really good at just laying out what they can do, and they're very open about working with us to see what we want and sharing their connections, because they're DIY themselves, and they've got their scene out there in the Bay Area and their network, and they can kind of connect us with people that they know, and it's about working together to just try and get this music out to
the amount of luck and happenstance of just like playing this show with these people.
Yeah. God, we found our booking agent because we were thinking like, all right, we want to play a lot more. Like, we're going to need a booking agent unless I'm going to sit and email people all day, every day.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, we played a show opening for a band from Texas, in New York, and I just kind of was looking on the email chain for the show and saw they had an agent, and I messaged him and I was like, if you're ever looking for another band to book for, we're trying to play a lot more. Like, we will play a lot.
Yeah.
Let me know. And he like responded pretty quickly, and he was like, I actually am not booking shows anymore. Like, I'm done with that. And then a couple months later, he was like, I'm booking shows again. And we've been working with him ever since. So
much of the luck that I've ever had was just that. Just asking.
Yeah. And the biggest thing that's ever happened, or maybe not ever, but one of the biggest opportunities we ever had was we also toured opening for and backing up this musical comedian. His name's Kyle Gordon. He has a pretty big following online, and like some of the biggest shows we've ever played have been opening for him.
Wow.
And we found him on TikTok during COVID and asked him to play a backyard show we were doing at our bassist's parents' backyard, and that's how we connected with him. And then a couple of years later, he like blew up and asked us to back him up on his tour. So
that's awesome.
So it's all random stuff like that.
When you're doing those shows, do you feel like you got to lean into some of your more jokey songs that you have? Or do you just play your set like
honestly,
you want to?
So we've done 2 big tours with him so far. The first one we felt more like that.
Yeah.
The second one was more about like just putting on like a high energy rock show, which is kind of
getting them warmed up.
And I think that honestly less so to do with what we thought would maybe work for the crowd. It's more honestly just been where we've been at as a band. Like around that first tour, so our second album and Dungarees both have a couple songs on them that lean into, a comedy element.
Yeah. Am I in love or am I hungry?
Yeah, of course. And I think my writing was more in that space, like around the time of that first tour we did with Kyle. The second tour, which was last year, and it's more where we're at right now, is just trying to just put on like an awesome high energy rock and roll show. And I think that it fits with Kyle's crowd because, I mean, sometimes like even those gigs vary from show to show because it's like sometimes people will know we're opening and sometimes we'll get on stage and people are like, are we at the wrong show? What's happening? Because a lot of people who go to those
They're checking
shows,
their phones, checking their tickets.
A lot of people who go to those shows, it's like their first concert they've ever been to.
Yeah.
And even if not their first, like they might not go to 10, 20 concerts a year. It might be their 1 a year or 2 a year, And so they just kind of don't know how it works, but we just kind of warm them up and get them going. And honestly, Kyle's helped us, grow our audience and introduced us to lots of people, and he's paid us.
Yeah.
That it's the first real professional kind of thing and all that stuff, and it's ultimately just so much fun touring with him. But the biggest thing that we've kind of gotten to see from that is when we get in a room with a sold out crowd, it works.
Yeah.
And like this thing we've been working on during our opening sets, like we could see like people respond to it. And that's a big thing to see. It has carried us through a lot of less attended shows.
Well, and just those people paid specifically to come to this show, right?
Yep.
And there's a difference in that crowd versus the one that just happens to be there, right?
Yeah.
Those people just seem so much more open to having a good time because they're like, no, man, we came out tonight to have this great time.
Yeah.
And again, if he picked this band to open, they must be good.
Yep. I think that's a big thing with music or anything. Like people need, for better or worse, people need like a recommendation, whether it's from a friend or it's from like an artist they like. Like that goes so much further, even just as simple as like if you're playing a show where there's 10 people and they're all standing in the back, or you're playing a show and there's 10 people and one person goes up to the front and starts dancing. It's like the lone nut thing. Like
God, those people are a breed of people that I wish I could be.
Sure.
You know, because the person who has that no fear, and they are the person to break it out, and they're just like, I dig this, and they're setting the tone. And everybody else is like, well, I think I dig it too. Yeah. It's like, God, you're awesome.
It's so funny because on stage, I'm that no fear guy.
Yeah.
Off stage, I would never be the lone nut. I would never.
I have you on my podcast. I'm coming to your show tonight. And I will be at the back of the room. I'll be at the back of the room.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's just how I am. Yeah. But I'll be telling other people like, y'all should definitely get close. That's probably a great spot, but I don't want to stand there. No.
Yeah. Yep. No, I know how it is.
Yeah. God, that's just what do you think's the largest crowd you've played for?
I think the largest crowd we've played for, we opened for Kyle Gordon in Boston, and I think it was like 600 people there, and it was sold out, and it was just packed.
Did you feel like your set needed to be adjusted because you'd played for smaller crowds, or did it go into it nicely?
Honestly, it's like the opposite. It's like, all right,
finally,
now we're really getting cooking. Like,
this is what you felt in your mind.
I knew it would work. Like I knew I could do it. Like, you know.
Yeah, man.
And it's still tricky. You're still opening for another band, and people don't know who the hell you are, and like some people just don't like it. But it's definitely better than playing for 0 people.
Let's take the amazing shows like that out of the equation. Let's get back to kind of regular tour life. Are you finding that you're making more money off your venues or off your merch?
Depends on the night, but the thing that makes us the most money and keeps us on the road is the bar gigs. They vary in how much they'll pay a guarantee, but like some will pay $300, and then sometimes we'll play one that'll pay $900. And like mostly that's just we'll play like 3 45-minute sets.
Gotcha.
And then also those are good because you could try and get people to tip.
Yeah.
And I think that at first it was a lot more disproportionate in like, all right, those are the gigs we do for money, and then we do another kind of gig for, and still most of it like. Now it's like literally 95% original music. At the beginning, it was probably like 70% original music. But even then, like we're still mostly doing originals, but just having to do that whole night was a lot more of a struggle at first. But we've definitely gotten a lot better at it and figured out how to just make it make sense. I mean, I know when some bands play gigs like that, they kind of are just off the cuff, like whatever song feels right and just whatever order. I definitely think a lot about set list for every kind of show, and we go on stage with a set list, and sometimes it will change on the fly, and there is wiggle room, but for us it's definitely important to have a set list that makes sense that we can refer to.
What makes sense to you? What do you mean?
Well, one big thing is like unless we're planning on it, I like going from one song into the other, just having it flow nice and
in the sense of no gaps, just let's keep it moving.
Yeah. And like in order to not have a gap, we can't have space to discuss what song to play next. So it's good to just have a set list to refer to. But otherwise it's just like, just the energy of the different songs and like, building it to a peak and all that. Like even in a bar gig, we're trying over 3 hours to kind of have each set peak, and then if there's anyone who stays for the whole thing, like we want the whole thing to feel like
Ooh, so catering 3 sets, but also one giant set for just in case for that one person.
Yeah, and it took like at first we did not have the songs to do that.
Sure.
Like the first 2 sets were like, all right, that's the crap, and then we end it with our big. Not crap, but it just didn't.
I know what you mean.
It didn't, But now we got to a point where it's like each set has its own purpose and flows good. And if you only stayed for one set, we're trying to make it so that I think we've gotten a lot better at it. Where like if you only stay for one set, you feel like you saw a whole show, and if you stay for 2 sets, you feel like it all fits together. And if you stay for all 3, you're like, wow, that was
one of the lamest moments I ever felt on stage was we did a residency gig, and it was 2 45-minute sets or 2-hour sets, I can't remember, but we did not have the material for that. So we essentially played the same set twice.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people that stuck around for both sets, and they're just like, so they're just doing doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a move. That's a choice.
Sure.
And you just see kind of the look of disappointment. The new people were having a good time, but you know how it is. You I'm only looking at those 5 people that have been here since the start, and they're just like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hard at first. It's always hard. Just you never really know how long the set is going to be when you write down that it. Somehow we could play 20 songs and it could be an hour, and then sometimes we play the same 20 songs and it's 20 minutes. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we should have known better because we were lying to ourselves. We don't need to learn more covers.
Yeah.
We don't need to do that. And even within the first set, there was a moment where one of the band members, I can't remember which one, but they were like, we've got to slow down because we don't even have enough for this one set.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden there were some bad solos thrown in here and there to try to stretch things out, and it was the most I'd ever felt like we are not prepared, and I'm not supposed to be up here right now.
It's not a good feeling, and it's why I think it's partially why I think, at least for me, I'm so dedicated to at least making a set list before the show, even if we stray away from it, because it's like through trial and error what works, and so you have it in an order that will make sense, and that you hopefully will not feel that feeling of wait, what are we doing right now? Like, this is weird. And I think that feeling that you're talking about has really forced us to progress as a band, because I mean, that stuff like that stopped us from at first ever doing bar gigs. We were like, we can't do that. Like, we're gonna have to learn covers. We don't want to learn so many covers. And I think there's an art to choosing the perfect cover, and we play a couple covers live,
because it's not necessarily the songs that you love either.
No,
yeah,
for sure. But we eventually figured out a way that works for us. And even though sometimes, I mean, it's a crapshoot. Any gig of any kind can be a bummer or lots of fun, and it doesn't have to necessarily do with if it's a bar gig or you're playing 45 minutes or you're playing to a lot of people or a couple people. Or some of our most nightmarish gigs have been playing to a lot of people at a bar gig. And we played this one gig in Iowa City one time, and it was like this college bar, and it was while we were still in the process of figuring out, all right, how do we play 3 sets? How do we fill a whole night with music that's entertaining for people and engaging for people who don't know who we are and maybe weren't even expecting to hear music, and definitely weren't expecting to hear original music that they never heard. And we get up on stage, and like, first it's completely empty, and we're playing our first set. Like, I play an acoustic guitar, and like the people who walk in are kind of walking past, like skeptical at us. And then like crowds of people start walking in, and they're screaming for requests, and like I'm talking to the it was just a nightmare. Like, a rugby team walked in and they're like mooning us. We just were not prepared to handle something like that at that time.
And someone taunting you who can definitely kick your ass, that's a bad position.
That's
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
These rugby people can do whatever they want right now.
Yeah. And there's more of them than us, and they want to hear fucking who knows what, and we're playing.
They're like, turn it off. We're going to sing our own songs.
Yeah,
we have our own bar songs.
You know what? All right, sure. You guys take it over. People don't realize that our merch isn't free. They're taking the merch. And it was just,
dude, that's rough. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that was one show we played one time that I think about more than.
Was that all the same night? The rugby team, the merch theft,
that's the Iowa City, El Rey's in Iowa City. We have another offer to play there, and I think we're going to go do it and hopefully conquer our.
You got to do it.
It's the best when you go back to a venue where you just had like a dud.
Absolutely.
And just, even if there's no one there,
you got to do it.
You have to overcome.
You got to do it just so we can share this clip to help you promote the show.
Plus,
all right?
It's a psychological thing. Like, we can't have this hanging over us for the rest of our.
If we can get that same rugby team back out,
you
know, and we can win them over, that would be the pinnacle of
it.
I want to talk about something that you may not feel comfortable talking about. So if you don't, but what do you think a band needs to make each night? And I don't want the answer of, we'll do it for $20. We love playing. But I mean, really nowadays, you're touring, you've got bills to pay, and you don't just want to scrape by doing this. You want to, you're not buying Ferraris, but you want to thrive and you want to keep making music and keep growing. So, like when you play in Dallas tonight, is there a number in your mind that you're thinking like, I want to make this much to not to get by, but to feel like we're doing it? Sorry, I didn't mean to choke you out with that one.
No. No, I got sick on the first day of tour. I'm better now, but I just can't stop fucking coughing.
That's all good.
Nah, the best. I mean, we're not even at it yet. Like,
but what in your mind, what is that dollar amount?
I think
I want people to think about the cost of touring.
Yeah.
So they fully understand, like, man, a ticket sale, a T-shirt purchase, it all adds up so quickly.
Yeah.
And the small numbers add up fast.
I mean, for the stage we're at, for us to not feel like the money is immediately disappearing, we have to make probably almost $1,000 in a night. Like a night where we'll play a bar gig where we're getting like an $800 guarantee, and maybe we're selling a couple $100 worth of merch and some tips. Like, that feels like a pretty good night for us now. Yeah. But it's not what you're talking about. It's not that. Like, because that money is still going away pretty quick. But it's enough where we have gas money and we have money to eat also.
Does it give you a little bit of an emergency fund for when the flat tire comes?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. Most nights we make less than that.
Yeah.
I think you really probably have to make a couple grand a night.
So to put that in perspective, right?
Yeah.
How many shows have you toured over the last year? How many shows have you played over the last year?
So like in 2025, we did 120 something shows.
So what we're saying is to get by on that type of a tour, we're talking about ideally we would need $125,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that's
wild to think about that number to just play music, right?
It's before even paying anyone.
And that's not saying when I come back home I don't need to work.
No, yeah.
That's saying this is what will fund this.
Yep. And I think it's like, it's just, it's a lot of money, and it's not, if you were getting into it, like no one gets into music to make money, but it's not a business that makes a lot of sense, especially right now. At the same time, like we run our band in a certain way and we play a certain types of shows, and we have a certain tolerance for lacking of human comforts. but there's other bands that everyone has different opportunities they come into, and at different times we'll have better gigs or worse gigs. And for any band, people blow up on TikTok, people, and I think that it's just different for everybody. And I think that it doesn't even necessarily correlate with skill level or really anything. It is all random. It's random, and part of that is scary, but part of that is also the fun of it. Like, you just kind of don't know what your path is, even if it's a path to the bottom. It's fun to just see what happens. Like, we never thought we'd be touring with a musical comedian. Like, I mean, although it is the perfect gig for us, like it is, like we love it. Like our first, me and Joe, our bassist, the guy I've known since I was 2 years old, my first concert ever was seeing Weird Al.
Yeah.
And
wow.
We literally,
what a first concert.
We got to meet Weird Al through playing with Kyle. It was the biggest mind-blowing experience ever.
Wow.
Like,
did you get to nerd out and go, you were my first concert?
Yeah. It was a crazy day. Like, Kyle was doing these videos, like, he was helping us online. Like, he gave us a couple viral videos of him like freaking out on stage, and it happened to correlate with him completely losing his voice on tour, because he's screaming a lot on stage and really pushing the limits of his voice. And so he has this video going around of him having a mental breakdown. At the same time, he is considering canceling shows because he's losing his voice. And he can't because he has these videos going around saying he's having a mental breakdown, which is a joke, but most people are believing it.
Yeah. So now he's having an actual breakdown from this stress.
Yep. And the show in LA is coming up, and all tour he's been like, none of these shows matter, but LA, like my label people are going to be there, like certain people are going to be there, whatever. So we're pulling into LA, and like he got his manager to like find him like a LA, like a Dr. Feelgood kind of guy. Gave him like a steroid shot, said he had like a vocal cord hemorrhage, but this would at least get him through the night. And I'm thinking like, well, there goes the tour. Like, we're exactly halfway through the tour, and like this is going to be a shitty show, and we're going to fucking play to these people that he said was an important show, and it's going to, whatever. Turns out the steroids worked. We had a great show. We go backstage at one point, and he's doing a song by himself. And Joe just looks at me and goes, "Do you see who's out there?" And I'm like, "What? Who are you talking about?" He goes, "Weird Al is out there." And I'm just like, "Oh my God." Like, and so we go back out and play a couple more songs, and I see him. He's like right under this one light. And I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And after the show, we're selling some merch, and like the owner of the venue comes up and he's like, "Al wants to meet you guys." So I run backstage and I'm just like, holy shit. Like, I'm trying not to like make a fool of myself, you know, but luckily Kyle was like, I have to tell you, like, these two guys are definitely freaking out right now. And like their first concert was Weird Al and like whatever. And we got to hang out with them for a few minutes, and it was really awesome. That's
incredible.
Super cool.
Well, just the thought of a guy whose whole act is gimmicky and stuff, and you guys are worried about like not being cool. Like, when you meet him, it's like that guy of all people would understand if he had a freak out.
For sure.
Man, and plus everything you hear about him, he's just a stand-up, classy dude.
Very nice guy.
Try to make you feel great, you know.
Yeah.
Wow, what a crazy juxtaposition though to see your first concert in the crowd watching your concert.
It was really strange.
I mean, you got to be thinking like, I'm fucked up right now. So this is not real.
And you know what? One of the Kyle's Labels people said that he walked in during our opening set and he liked that too. So that meant a lot to me too. So
incredible.
Yeah. And playing in LA is always weird anyways. Like having people like who are, it's kind of like playing in New York. Like you're playing to people who, if they're not musicians or artists or creative people themselves, they work in the industry, and it's just, I don't know. I've always felt weird about it, but that was a fun show.
It's people who are behind the curtain so much.
Yeah,
you know, it's just different.
They know how the sausage is made.
Yeah, you know, it was the same way. You know, back when I was playing, where which is a long time ago, but where you would go to these areas that you just thought maybe this will be okay, and then that just ends up being the best.
Yeah,
and all the areas that they call flyover states, it's like man, that's your bread and butter.
Those
people love entertainment. They show up, and they're usually really polite and have a great time.
Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason to any of it. It's so strange.
Yeah.
Everyone always I'm sure many different bands have gotten this, but it's like we'll play and they'll be like, "Oh, it's such a shame. Like last night it was packed. Like tonight James Taylor's playing at the." It's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like James Taylor can't be playing everywhere the day before we play there. Yeah. Like it's
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We had so many shows like that where it was just very strange, and you wonder. We were in Denver, and there was a place. I remember the name. It was called the Climax Lounge, which was the first sign of like, what is this venue? The story I heard, I don't know if it's true. The story I heard is it used to be like the hottest gay dance club. And then it changed to a live music venue. So there was a stage, and then there was like a big wooden floor that looked very much like a dance floor, disco ball, all this stuff. But then there was an area, it wasn't like back against the wall, like a straight line or an L. It was this curvy thing that went along with the dance floor. Like the wood floor was cut out in a curve or something. At least in my mind, that's what it was. And there was a fence, like a chain link fence in that area. So I'm like, we're kind of playing behind a chain link fence. This feels
like the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, it was very strange. I was like, I thought this was just a movie gimmick. You know, it wasn't on stage, but you're thinking, will they throw things from there? What is this? But the entire show, everyone watched from behind that chain link fence. So that whole dance floor in front of us, totally empty, even though there's probably, I don't know, 100 people there, 150 people.
Yeah.
Because they all just want to be by the bar. And they're kind of watching the bands while they're playing. They're kind of not. Yeah. But then afterwards, we sold a shitload of merch, and like we had a great time. And you're like, well, it looked like you all hated it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
There's so many weird like crowd psychology things and like
because we were up there struggling. We're going, God, they hate us.
Yeah.
Oh my God, do we end early?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's really if you play 100 shows, you're playing 100 different kinds of shows. There's no similarities really at all.
Other than the big crowd. Because that feels like a cheat code almost,
sure,
right?
It does.
What was the area where you felt this was just the best show we've ever had? I love this spot. Can't wait to come back. They just get us here, you know?
I think it hasn't proven to be too consistent, but there are certain places like we love playing in San Francisco. Our drummer is the only one who's not from New Jersey. He's from San Francisco. He moved to New York for school. And that's where I met him. But so playing in San Francisco, we can we have like a little bit of a kind of like home base kind of family crowd that could come out. And so that's cool. And then we played a show with Kyle in San Francisco. So we had like our friends that we know from San Francisco and like other fans that maybe we've made along the way playing in San Francisco a couple times, plus Kyle's crowd. And it was just a big show. And, you know, it got rowdy and it was
That's
fun.
awesome.
And also it's just so fun going out to San Francisco for so many reasons. I mean, just like we were big deadheads in high school and like just getting to go to San Francisco, see that whole thing. And our drummer's family's from there, so we have a place to stay. It's a little bit more civilized and it's just such a beautiful city. So that's a fun place to play. I mean, really, it seems pretty random. Like we'll play in a city and it'll be great, and we're like, oh, I can't wait to go back. And then we have a dud, and then we'll play the same venue 6 times and be like, we're never playing here again. And we're like, well, I guess except the one show we've already booked to come back, and we'll go back for that 7th show, and it's great.
All right, we'll keep coming back.
It's really, I feel like a big skill is just kind of learning to just take every show one at a time and not let it get you down, like if it's a bad one. And if it's a good one, not letting it inflate you too much.
Where all of a sudden you walk into the next venue and you're like, if they knew what we just did and this, we're going to burn this place down, and then it's a dud.
Well, it's just like when it's kind of like a similar thing to when you're on stage and you're like, the second you start thinking, wow, we're sounding good, that's when everyone starts messing up. So
what do you think then when you're having a good set? You just think, think that?
I think to me, the goal is to kind of like reach like a flow state, kind of like I'm not really like thinking anything.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of going.
You feel like you're hitting that yet?
We've hit it. We've hit it before. I mean, I think it's like a muscle. And the more you do it, the easier it is to reach, but sometimes you just can't. And you got to be cool with that too. And really, ultimately, I feel like sometimes you feel like you play bad and the audience loves it. Sometimes you feel like you play good and the audience, it doesn't connect. So there's so much that goes into it that you don't have control over, whether it's how you play or how the show goes or if you get a flat tire on the way to the show. And so it's kind of all about learning to go with the flow.
Yeah. I've only had one experience where I felt like it was kind of you feel like you're on the outside watching this all go down. And it was weird because we that band I was in that we were selling all those CDs, we just ran into a weird thing where do you know what the Warped Tour is?
Of course.
Warped Tour? Okay.
Of course.
So when we were playing our crappy, Friday, Saturday shows that we booked that were not very successful, and we're moving like 3 CDs and we're hurting. Yeah. We realized, okay, we're not going to get shows on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so our plan was to go to Warped Tour, beg people coming in to check our music out and buy CDs. It started working. So we were selling like 200 CDs a day.
Wow.
And we just canceled our shows and started doing that because we thought, you know what, we'll get the music out, we'll come back and play through.
Yeah.
What we found out is we played a show in Del Rio, Texas.
I've been there. I've been there.
And some of our stuff at the time, again, was a punk rock band, so we had some stuff about like immigration and blah, 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 and whatever. And so that area was really, I guess, feeling that. But we didn't realize we accidentally played a trick on them where they had thought we were like one of the bands on the Warped Tour, and like not like a little band, like they thought we were like one of them, like a big band.
Yeah.
And so their whole area came out because they were just assuming, whoa, these guys are, these big famous people are coming through, And so it's in a, it's in some kind of like, I don't know, VFW hall or something. And there's a stage and the PA, everything was good, but it was just not a venue setting typically. And, it had like the white fluorescent lighting above, that kind of stuff. And it's like when we're ready to play, they like kick that off, you know? And these people, like, they knew the songs, and it's just this big crowd that was in it. And all of a sudden it's like, I don't even feel like I'm playing anymore. I'm not telling my fingers what to do. The words are coming out. But it was only that one time. Every other time was still just nervous, like, all right, hit your cues, do all the thing you need to do.
I think that it kind of like plays into like what playing live music is really about, which is whether it's that the people are singing along and know the songs or they're just having a good time. It's like it's not just about the band on stage. It's about the room reaching a certain energy, reaching a certain thing, and everyone just having a good time together. I mean,
I think the rest of the shows we were trying to prove to people, and that one felt like, we're here, we're good.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we still are, like, we feel like we're trying to prove something. Honestly, even if there are a lot of people there, like it's that I feel like is kind of in our blood.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you're in that weird zone where you're a professional in every sense of the word of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you've made a great album.
Thank
now
you.
You're just going, well, why doesn't everybody have the album?
At least a couple people.
Come on. Yeah, I get it.
How'd you find the album? How did you find it?
I don't remember. I found the Instagram first. Somehow I came across that, so I don't know if it was, are you guys running any ads? Maybe it was
We have. I mean, do you remember when it was?
You've come through DFW before, right?
Yeah, we played with Kyle. We played at Club Dada. Is that what it's called? Or Dada?
I bet what it was, because I'll go through the list of people coming into town.
Yeah.
I bet that's what it was. Yeah. Which I try to encourage people to do. It's, that's something we used to do here. We have a local paper, the Dallas Observer. That's the arts paper, and it's not as relevant anymore because nobody's picking up, printed medium.
Yeah.
But we would go through there and we would just look through all the shows, and then we would go to a show and you just check something out. And I think that's one of the things people maybe don't realize is an option right now. It's like right now, the beauty of something like Spotify, as bad as it is in so many other ways, you can go look at your venue. You can check out a month-long calendar and go listen to some songs and see if you want to check out a concert.
You might find your new favorite band.
Absolutely. And, in the past, you just had to roll the dice. You're like, well, the name sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was probably that, but I feel like y'all randomly came in through the feed. Because, can I tell you honestly with your band, I wanted to be a hater at first.
That's okay.
Can I tell you why, though?
I love that. Because I'm telling you, it's like in our blood to like have something to prove. So I like that. I love that.
The same thing.
Also, I think that I've tried a lot to not be a hater, but I think that we kind of, as a band, it's kind of a musician artist thing is like, sometimes you're just a hater.
I was the same way with Sturgill Simpson. So I hope you take that as a compliment.
Sure.
So when my wife was first showing me Sturgill, the first couple songs she showed me were some of his older material. And I was hearing the music, wasn't listening to lyrics really. And I'm thinking like, ugh, another one of these dudes ripping off. I bet he wears a big old cowboy hat and he's probably got frilly shit hanging off his jacket, whatever,
Yeah.
And then we went to a concert. And it was, it's one of the bigger venues. There's like 6,000 people.
Sure.
And he comes out and, he's wearing jeans and Converse or whatever. And I'm like, I assumed he was going to be the country cowboy with the acoustic guitar and he's got a band that does the solos and blah, blah.
Sure.
Half the time the guitar's behind your back. And something happened in his set where monitors weren't working or amp, something wasn't working, and he's getting extremely frustrated first song out of the gate. And he's going back to the sound guys on stage, talking to them. So I feel like it was a monitor thing. All of a sudden he swaps a guitar, he comes out, and he just starts ripping a solo. And I don't know if you know much about his band, but he's played with kind of the same guys forever. So they're like a real band. Yeah. And they can improvise, they can go with it. And he just does this crazy solo, like a rock and roll solo. And I'm thinking, isn't this that fucking lame country dude who's ripping off what country's supposed to be? And then he finishes that and he just says something cool. I don't know, like, sorry, we just have to work a few things out, Dallas, or something. And then he goes into his material. And so all of a sudden when I realized, like, wow, this guy, like, he really plays the instruments. He's a real deal.
Sure.
He's,
It puts it into context.
Yeah, then all of a sudden I was like, man, I'm a fucking douche for not giving this guy a chance.
Yeah.
And the whole rest of the show, a weird part that sealed it for me, are you familiar with his music at all? Do you like it? Yeah. So his album that won the Grammy, A Sailor's Guide to Earth, he's got that song, Sarah, where it's kind of slower and it's he's talking about all these hard times and getting back with this woman. Again, sounds cliche country, but he's got this lyric that's not even the main part of the lyric where he's like, forgive me if I sound a little crazy, but goddamn, sometimes crazy's how I feel. And it wasn't on this album. It's not a shouty part.
Sure.
But 6,000 people scream, but goddamn, sometimes crazy. And it hit me like, wow, he's connecting. Like if that lyric in the middle of the second verse that's not a main part, this whole crowd connected with that, and it's not even the main song on the album. Sure. So that's how I felt about him. And it's like after that, I was like, okay, I got to go back and listen to everything. I was wrong. Yeah. And now I'm listening to the lyrics going like, oh, he's the real deal. Yeah. So with y'all's music, what happened to me was, what's the track? Santa Fe? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going through the album, and I always give things a front to back listen. But I'm hearing all of these influences, you know? And at first I'm thinking, are they hearing a song and saying, I'm going to write a song like that? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And it's going through. And so like Santa Fe, for instance, I think, you know, you're picking up like these Bob Dylan vibes. I don't know if you feel that when you wrote it.
I love Bob Dylan for sure, yeah.
And so part of me is wanting to be a hater. Is like, what are they? Are they just grabbing songs and writing songs like songs? You know? And then I get through the whole album and I realize like, no, it's just finally a band who's influenced by a lot of different things. Yeah. And goes, I like these things. I'm going to play my music. I mean,
I definitely feel like we're influenced by a lot of different shit, and
I feel it on the album. It's wide.
Something that gets on my nerves so much, and where I'll let myself be a full hater is if there's a band, and I don't think it's like a lot of bands that do this, but occasionally I'll see like a band who you could tell they're like saying, I'm this one thing.
Yeah.
And I've never had any other influences.
Yeah.
And I've never, and like, I'm just going to, and this is who I am, and everything else is bullshit. And maybe I dislike it because I used to feel like that. But I mean, my first favorite band was Blink-182. My second favorite band I ever had was the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
You know, I love Bruce Springsteen. I love the Replacements. I love, you know, I have so many different bands that I like and try to take influence from. And I hope that we're able to synthesize it into something which maybe reminds you of other things, but, you know, it's, as a whole, I feel like our discography is very much like, that's what those guys like, and that's what they make. You know, we're music fans first, and I love all my favorite artists have their albums all sound different from each other. And they have different eras and different influences that they lean into at certain times. But then when you look at a whole, look at their discography as a whole, it's like, that's them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's where their sound comes from. And if I have one goal for Mojohand, it's to be like a band like that, like a band with a whole bunch of albums, and maybe if you listen to one song off of one album and compare it to one song off the other album, you're like, is this even the same band? But then when you listen as a whole, you're like, that's Mojohand.
Yeah. I think you're nailing it, man. Like I said,
thank you.
I was only a hater for a brief moment, and I was quickly converted.
I love it. It's better than if you right off the bat, you know.
Yeah. I'm just, you know, it's all my upbringing that we don't have time to get into. Of like, I don't trust you.
No, I have the same fucking thing. I really, really do.
Yeah.
I mean, our whole thing, it comes from a very punk rock place of like not trusting and fuck you, and I don't know. It's all about learning what parts of that are good and what parts of that are not good.
I feel like that's a lifetime of working. Listen, we got to get you out of here, though. You're gonna miss your load in if we don't get you out now.
Sounds good.
Dude, thank you so much. What's the best place for people to check out tour schedule, buy some merch, help support you?
Our Instagram is a great place to head to, at mojohand.music. That's got our tour schedule, and then there it'll link you to our Spotify, our website, all that stuff. But the most important thing anyone could do is come to a show.
There you go.
And shake my hand in person.
There you go. And it sounds like new album's on the way. So
new album will be out this year.
Get in on it now so you can say you knew them when.
We're already writing the next album. So
all right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
The I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.